Music familiar track. I mean, not that I've heard it on Six Music, but it's the sort of sound I would expect to hear on the station.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that track? Why does it appeal to you? Is the album good?
The album's fantastic. Six listeners will want to know that it's the album's called Shipwrecked, and it's on Swami. It's a great record, and it's full of shimmering pop gems like that, really. Gets in 2 minutes long, tells you what's going on, and lets you get on with your life.
Exactly. That's what you look for in music.
Absolutely.
It's also what I look for in people. And so I'm going to shut you up. I'm going to move on to Dan. Dan, what did you make of it?
Well, this may surprise you, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, yeah. I know that we're locked in a Mortal Kombat, possibly to the death, over our music taste here, but I'm a lot more open-minded than Harry, of course, and I enjoyed that for a lot of the same reasons. I'm afraid it got in there, it jangled, and then it went away, and I don't think anyone really can complain about it.
Does that mean I win?
I'm very, very torn here because much as I loathe everything Dan stands for musically, I do think it was a brave choice. It was unfamiliar. It's not the sort of thing you'd expect to hear on Six Music. Certainly not the sort of thing you'd expect to hear on a show hosted by me, someone who's generally got a resistance to anything kind of jazzy and twiddly and noodly. So for that reason alone, I'm going to award it to Dan.
Get in.
Yeah, well done, Dan. You are now 1-0 up, if anyone cares. So any more emails, texts? We're trying to find out, if you've just joined us, who the average Six Music listener is, so that we can cater the show to them in future weeks. Harry, what have you got?
Yeah, we've got Doug here. Doug Warner, he's 20 years old. He's at university at Aberystwyth. He's attempting to revise for an international politics exam on Wednesday while playing Tekken 3, and he's trying to steal his mate's girlfriend. And his mate doesn't know, you know.
Well, you'd have thought not, because otherwise it's just very straightforward. Excuse me, do you mind giving me the hand of your girlfriend? It would be very polite if only society were like that.
Exactly, but if that is the average Six Music listener, I'm not sure we should be providing such treats. That's obviously quite bad behaviour.
It is bad behaviour, isn't it? It's amazing how these people are able to multitask. He's able to play Tekken and also seduce a woman.
Exactly, but very much like Columbo, it's his one mistake. He's told us, and we've broadcast on the radio, that he's trying to steal his mate's girlfriend. If you are Doug Warner's mate, you know, don't let her out.
Dan, any more emails, texts?
Well, we've got one from Pam.
Pam?
Pam,
yes, great.
And it's Transatlantic Phil from Chicago. Now, Pam, she's in her mid-30s, but don't let that put you off. She says she's very attractive, and she's suffering the after effects of a really bad date. 9:30 in the morning over there, so she's up early to listen to the Steve, which I think is admirable. She went out.
You just reduced the show's name to the Steve.
The Steve.
It's already pretty short as it is.
Well, why not? Later on,
why not? Okay, so she's listening to the Steve.
Hey, she had a bad date last night, and just very quickly, any idea why it was so bad?
I've no idea.
Well, she went out with a guy. He was boring. All right, we've all been there, but he also spat.
We have not all been there. I've never been on a date with a guy who's really boring.
What about the other? There was that other.
Oh, come on! You've made a hilarious point there where you've implied I'm gay. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But it's just important to clarify that I'm not. Just for any future reasons.
Indeed. He spat every time he spoke.
Oh no!
And he.
Do you know what? I'm thinking I'm developing that.
Yeah.
I've noticed it increasingly. You know, you can always tell because the person flinches and tries not to notice, and then tries to find a discreet way of just wiping their cheek as the conversation carries on.
Well, Pam had an whole evening of that last night, and she's not in a good mood. But she says that you're helping. You're helping lift her vibe.
Good luck, Pam.
Which is nice.
Keep us abreast of any future dating because I'm fascinated to find out how people's dates go and how their lives are panning out. Now then, someone emailed in earlier or texted and said that they'd love me to play some hip hop. That's because they know there's part of me that loves a bit of hippity hop. I love to keep it real, love to keep it street. As anyone knows who's a fan of me, I could bust Will Smith's, for a couple of the tracks by the Fresh Prince right now for you. Jude, the producer, if you don't believe me, I could do it. If you could lay on a hip hop beat, I'll cut it for you right now. I'm not going to. I'm maybe going to wait for some kind of Christmas special. Going to build up to that, tease people. But each week I'm going to dig out some kind of hip-hop track that I think maybe you've not heard, or maybe you have and you haven't heard it for a while, or whatever. Maybe I'm just going to play it. But anyway, this is one from a band that I think only really had one album that didn't sell particularly well. They were on the Soul Sides label, along with DJ Shadow and people like that. And the band is called Latyrix. Play it, you. The group are called Latyrix, made up by Latif, the Truth Speaker, and Lyrics Born. That's actually from, pardon me, from 1997, and a track called Lady Don't Techno. And as I say, they didn't really ever kind of take off. They got a cracking album, which has got they're both rapping at the same time, different lyrics, and their voices are coming out of either speaker. So it works bizarrely. It really works. Maybe we can play that in future weeks. But I thought that was a nice chilled out kind of hip hop track for this first show. Steve Show, by the way, at Six Music with me, Stephen Merchant. I've got two guys here. I'm going to refer to them as the nobodies, and I keep pointing out that's a compliment. It's about the fact that they're not experienced broadcasters, they're not music journalists, they're not in bands. They're people who've just got a taste or a love of music. They've come in to play some tracks for us. Harry, say hi.
Hi.
Dan.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Any more emails, texts? We're trying to find out what the average Six Music listener is like.
Well, we've got a text from Mary, who reckons she's not the typical Six Music listener. She's 17, doesn't usually listen, but she's got a little bit of a soft spot for you. And she reckons, she's got a theory here, that nerds don't seek out Six Music. Six Music creates nerds. Because ever since you put out your appeal for people to send in tracks, she's been obsessed. Her whole life's gone to pot. Because she's done nothing except send you requests.
She just keeps on sending in tracks.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we're going to come to probably in future weeks, where you, the listener, are going to get involved. Pardon me, I've just got a little frog in the throat there. It's very unprofessional. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, in future weeks we're going to get you to contribute. You can suggest tracks. Maybe we play something you think, oh well, if he likes that, he'll like that, and so on and so on and so on. But we'll come to that in future weeks. At the moment, we're just trying to plant seeds in your mind and explain to you the sort of flavours that we enjoy. I just want to dedicate that Latyrix track to two people who told me that they're on a boat in Turkey, Jamie and Liz. Why they are listening to us on a boat in Turkey. I'm sure there's more interesting things to be doing. Perhaps making sweet, sweet love. I don't know. I don't know what time it is in Turkey. Maybe it's a little bit early for you. It could be just after lunch. Don't never make sweet, sweet love directly on a full stomach, because you can get cramp like if you go swimming. I think. I don't know. I'm not. I have no idea. No actual experience of that. So anyway, yes. And what you want something? You want to say something, Jude? Oh yes, I remember. You want me to play a trail. Let's play the trail, then we'll talk more afterwards. Oh, no.
Six Music.
He's past the Six Music and...
Here's a quick trivia question for you. Who's doing backing vocals on this track?
It's not me.
Brilliant. You've told me this and I've forgotten.
Any ideas?
Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, it was a great guess, but it was actually the Jackson. It was actually the Jackson 5. Yeah, fascinating. From 1974's Fulfillingness First finale. That's Stevie Wonder, and a song called You Haven't Done Nothing. I've often spoken in the past, I forget who, with a couple of friends, and we've talked about artists who appeal to the head, heart, and the hips. Tricky. Now, I would say that Stevie Wonder is possibly one of the only names I can pull off the top of my head. Possibly Mr. Prince, as I like to call him, the artist Prince. But other than that, it's difficult. I mean, when I say appeal to the hips, they have to be sort of songs that you would think about dancing to. I mean, obviously you can dance to a lot of indie nonsense, but that would be, you know, it doesn't really count. So, guys, any thoughts straight off the top of your head?
Curtis Mayfield?
Yeah, maybe.
What about Talking Heads?
Oh no.
Hey? No, what about it? They've got the groovy little funk guitar thing going on.
Because I can't dance to Talking Heads, because I just imagine that big fella with all the funny movements. And it
What,
puts
the big
me off.
suit?
Yeah.
No, fair point. I withdraw my suggestion.
I think this discussion's going to run and run, though. Really, I do. I think of all the things we've come up with, this is probably the most fascinating. It's the most exciting. It's going to be sweeping the land. People in pubs this evening, they're having a quiet pint. This is the only subject on their lips. Anyway, we need to get back to your battle, guys. You're trying to present tracks to me that I feel should make it onto the Steve Show playlist in future weeks. So far, Dan's ahead with 1 point. I don't know why I feel the need to make it into a competition, but it is. So we're starting with you, Harry, this time. What have you got for us?
I've got a track called Canada by the Field Mice, Six Music aficionados of fey, jangly, indie rot from the 80s will love this. My favourite band on Sarah with the Sea Urchins, but I've not picked them. I've picked the Field Mice. This is a great track called Canada.
Oh, it's all gone hideously wrong. See, if I was pressing the buttons, you'd have had a lot more mistakes like that.
It's alright, because we've got this intro, so we can still keep talking.
Okay, so other artists who appeal to the head, heart, and... Harry, what was that very twee track you just played for us?
That was Canada by the Field Mice. Doomed Love, Steve, that's what it's all about. Doomed Love.
I'm a sucker for Doomed Love, Harry. I really am, but I wondered if that was just a little bit too jingly-jangly twee for me. I don't know. It's difficult.
A little bit, you know, in my worst moments, it reminds me a little bit of Young at Heart by the Bluebells.
It does. I know what you mean. Something was bugging me. I was thinking there's something about this song I hate, and I couldn't remember what it was, but that's it. Dan, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I like the last one, but I think he's lost everyone there, Harry. I think he's made a terrible mistake. But I still think he's going to win this particular round of the Steve Show Music Challenge between friends, because I can't help thinking that now you've introduced the point scoring system, inevitably he's going to win, because then it all comes down to the final track, and I know you love a bit of drama.
You're right, and it suddenly occurred to me that that's going to be a problem every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll just try and crank up some vitriol for Dan's record. Just some fake vitriol.
Do you know what I'm going to have to do?
Go on.
I'm going to have to put it out to the listeners next week.
Oh my goodness.
That's going to make a lot more sense, isn't
Imagine that.
it? We're very much finding our feet on this show. I don't want you to think that it's all as polished and as neat as so many of the links have been. There are still some rough... No, come on. There are still some rough edges. There are still some rough edges, you know, which we'll be hopefully polishing off in future. Which, what do you do with a rough edge? Do you sand it down? You sand it down. We'll be sanding down the rough edges in future weeks. For instance, this link, which has been chiefly about sanding down rough edges, will in future weeks not be as tiresome. I will be... anyway. Dan, words are my tool. Dan, you've got a choice now, let's hear it.
Yeah, a much more familiar band. I think Tindersticks will be familiar to a...
It's not the Tindersticks.
No, it's not the Tindersticks.
Don't make that mistake.
No, don't, never make that mistake. This will be a lot more familiar to a lot of Six Music fans. But this is a song from their Simple Pleasures album. It was released as a single as well. And I just think it's a great single, and I don't understand why it's not considered to be a great pop single.
But so often the way. Forgotten gems, let's hear it, we'll make up our own minds. Tindersticks, Can We Start Again on the Steve Show 6 Music, 4:15 Sunday afternoon. Hope you're just chilling out, relaxing, unless you're not, unless you're doing something more entertaining, more high energy. Get in touch, let us know what it is, 64046, Stephen with a ph.6music at bbc.co.uk. And we're in some kind of battle of the musical choices. If you've only just joined us, what was the name we came up for the cover section?
Mr. Coverman. They call me Mr. Cover. That's something like that.
I think maybe Mr. Cover.
Mr. Cover. Yeah,
brilliant. So, it's high five, guys.
Yeah, high five.
Well done. I see what we should have. We should have a kind of Steve Wright style round of applause periodically after songs or fun ideas. I love a little round of applause on Steve Wright's show. It's great. Let's just have a quick one now. It's good, isn't it? It's just it livens things up. You can see why he does it. Yeah. It's perfect. Okay, so that was Tindersticks. What's your thinking?
Can we start again? No thanks. Clear off. Take your string section with you. Oh, that plodded. It plodded. I love the Sticks, but that wouldn't be my choice.
Very closed-minded there, Harry. I'm slightly disappointed in you once again today.
I'm very sorry.
I think that's a beautiful song. I love that record, and I can't understand it. I understand that maybe his voice is kind of lugubrious and, you know, perhaps negates it a bit as a pop track, but I find that quite jaunty.
Nice use of the word lugubrious and negates. Let's have a round of applause. Steve Wright style. Yeah.
Get in.
I'm afraid to say that I'm siding with Harry here, and it's not merely for the sake of competition. I actually feel that was a slightly odder choice of Tindersticks track. I think there are others which perhaps, particularly for introducing the Tindersticks to a whole bunch of young listeners. We've discovered actually, haven't we, that there's quite a lot of students, younger people, maybe doing exams, writing essays and stuff. A lot of these artists may be unfamiliar. You've got to remember, Six Music, all about the new music. It's all about new music, constantly new music. To me, do you know what new music is? It's music you've not heard before. Wise words. If you take one thing away with you today from this show, it's that wise snippet of wisdom. New music. Or if someone says to you, do you like new music? You go, do you know what is new music? They'll say, well, new music's just something that's just been released. And you'll say in response, oh, is it? I think you'll find, as Steve Merchant often says, that new music is music, and by that point they'll have punched you or left, and therefore making you the winner. They resorted to violence. So, yeah, new music to me is songs you haven't heard before, and so it's exciting to think that Tindersticks may be a band unfamiliar to some of our listeners. And as I say, I think for that reason you're going to have to lose, Dan, because that was not the obvious choice to play in order to charm people with the Tindersticks.
Now, in your new competition, is there any way I can lodge an appeal? Is there an appeal system I can go through?
Something we'll develop in future weeks. A lot of the rules haven't been finalised yet, but we'll be posting up the rules.
I think you've done it for the sake of drama, but nonetheless, I'm excited about the final track showdown.
Yeah.
That has excited me.
That'll come after the news a bit later in the show. Still lots of music to come, plus we have a competition, and I think you're going to find it tricky. It's a very, very difficult question from a very, very wise and, what would you say, a muso. He's a classic muso. I've been trying to avoid musos on this programme, but this quiz question set by a muso who really knows his onions. So look forward to that a bit later. And I don't know, have we got prizes? We'll try and dig something up. In the meantime, I've not played a lot of what you might traditionally term new music, but I'm a big fan of this recent band, Midlake. Let's have a track from them. From the album The Trials of Van Occupanther. I'm so pleased I remembered that. That's Midlake and Head Home. I think it's a cracking album, Harry. Have you heard it?
Yeah, it's great.
It's absolutely dynamite. And it's got that lovely sort of West Coast vibe. And,
Absolutely.
There was a magnificent documentary on that was on BBC 4 the other evening. Dan, I know you watched it. I enjoyed it enormously. And it was called, I think, From the Birds to the Eagles, and it was sort of following the history of that whole West Coast singer-songwriter phase that included Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. This is just going to be one of the most incredible links. You can see where I'm going already. Neil Young, one of my favourite artists, a man who has never shied away from doing something different just when you thought